Hi everyone, good morning. I'm meteorologist Evan Nurani. On a wet start to our Monday, we're going to be seeing a week full of wet weather as repeated troughs of low pressure make their way across San Diego County and really across the greater Southern California region. So I want to start off with what our rain chances look like day over day. For starters, today, Monday, is going to be a pretty active day. We expect that into the afternoon and evening, things pick up in intensity. We'll lose a lot of that momentum into Tuesday, especially past sunrise and through sunset. So the daytime hours on Tuesday, not looking to be quite as active, but then another trough of low pressure will likely slide in for Wednesday and Thursday before that chance for rain dwindles by the end of the week and the weekend. Along the coastline over the next 12 hours, this is what that looks like for us. We started off the morning very dry. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies, temperatures mostly in the 50s. We are expecting that those temperatures are going to climb to just barely the low 60s as that chance for rain moves up. See how we jump to about 100% chance for rain by about 1 p.m. Stays at about 70% through 5 p.m. and then begins to slide down again past sunset into the overnight stretch, where we should see another round of unsettled weather move in that window. Now, not only are we going to be working with some intense wind, some intense rain, but we're also going to be seeing some intense wind gusts too. Sometimes the wind precedes the rain. So I would say even in times that we have dry conditions where you're not seeing the active rainfall, be prepared for those strong, gusty winds, at times breaking those palm fronds, sending them to the ground. It's important to be cautious of where you are, especially driving and walking outside, as those palm fronds can come down at a high speed. We're going to be watching for upwards of 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts as we get to the afternoon stretch. So 3 p.m. does look to be the most intense, up to 38 miles per hour in San Diego. This is not Alpine or Julian off toward the mountains. This is off toward the coastline, spots that don't typically see those more intense wind gusts. So we could in San Diego see 38-mile-per-hour gusts, 26-mile-per-hour sustained speeds. Let's talk about the rain and cloud forecast, because this is going to help walk us through what the rest of the day looks like. Between now and 11:30 a.m., so over the next couple hours, through the morning stretch and prior to noon, we'll start to see the light to, in some cases, moderate showers. They'll be mostly light. There will be some little stretches that become a little bit more intense through about 11:30 noon. But we are reserving the moderate to heavy bands of wet weather for the afternoon stretch. Past noon into about 1, 2 p.m., take a look at how that wave of moisture arrives. Orange and red indicating areas where we could see sudden downpours, maybe some thunderstorm activity in the forecast, all picking up into that afternoon and evening stretch just in time for that evening commute. So I'd watch out for that. As we continue through that time frame, 5:30 p.m., still a lot of people on the roads. We are going to be seeing that a lot of that wet weather dwindles along the coast and inland and lingers over our local mountains and deserts. This is not to say that we are then done, because we've got another wave that will come through likely in the overnight stretch. So we want to push this through that overnight window. Here's 3:30 a.m. You saw that kind of final push of moisture. That was, I'd say, about 1 to 3 p.m. that push is going to come for. In the overnight stretch, our highest elevations in San Diego County, Palomar Mountain, Mount Laguna, could see perhaps some snow. So pink indicating a rain-snow mixture, purple or bluish on that screen indicating snow. That's just going to be snow that possibly sticks depending on how our afternoon temperatures shape up. It could also fall in the form of snow and then melt as it meets the ground. So all that activity continues to remain pretty steady in the overnight stretch. And then we wake up Tuesday as the sun comes up to mostly dry skies, even though that center of low pressure is kind of right overhead. You can see those winds blowing in that counterclockwise movement. Now, as we get through the daytime hours on Tuesday, we should have the sun peeking through. Going to be a pretty pleasant day. And then if we push all the way into late Tuesday night, early Wednesday, what do you know? In the overnight stretch, yet again, another wave of wet weather comes about. Here's 4 a.m., still that chance of some mountain thunderstorms possible. I want to emphasize that while a lot of this wet weather is expected to come down in the overnight windows while a lot of people are at home and maybe even asleep, I want to remind you that it still counts in our overall rain totals. You can likely notice when you look at the ground the next morning, whether or not we saw anything in the overnight window. So a lot of people tend to wake up each morning and go, I thought today was supposed to be just a downpour of rain. Well, you have to look at the timing specifically to see what that's like, which is why we're emphasizing that, sure, we have a lot more rain tonight into early tomorrow, but Tuesday in general, during the daytime hours, not all that active. This is the overnight stretch from Tuesday into Wednesday. Take a look at what happens once the sun comes up on Wednesday. A lot of that wet weather starts to break apart, and we're back to dry skies at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. Now, we're not ruling out the shot of additional portions of the day, including some scattered showers, but we're not also expecting it to be just a downpour all day either. Rainfall estimates look like this. Here's the end of the day today. We expect about an inch. So overall, today's rain, about an inch. We'll add on an additional ½ an inch over the course of the day on Tuesday. That is mainly going to be overnight from tonight into early tomorrow, but past the midnight hour, so 3, 4, 5 a.m. After the day ends on Tuesday into Wednesday, take a look at how those totals get added on as well. 2 inches in total in Carlsbad, Escondido, and Poway. That means that in those spots of the county, between now and Wednesday night, we'll have about 2 inches on the ground in total. Again, we're kind of just cumulatively adding on as opposed to these individual isolated rain events. By the time the day ends on Thursday, it's likely that we'll start to see all that wet weather tapering off. You can see how we have about a 50% chance for showers on Thursday, only 10% on Friday. And then by the weekend, temperatures starting to warm up pretty nicely with skies clearing out. We're calling for a weather impact alert today and Wednesday. Again, today's rain is likely the heaviest of the next 7 days. But it does seem like Monday and Wednesday, today and Wednesday, are going to be the most intense period. Tuesday, pre-sunrise, should have those rounds of more moderate activity arriving. And then during the daytime hours, we'll start to see calmer showers arrive, a lot more scattered activity. We can't rule out the chance of showers completely, but it does look like to be a much less active day. We're still going to watch out for some pretty intense wind gusts on Tuesday. Wind advisory is in effect today, expires at 8 p.m. Another one will take effect tomorrow. Temperatures will cool down all the way through Thursday, and then by the end of the week and the weekend, take a look at those temperatures starting to climb up to the low 70s, means that we will likely see a ridge of high pressure, or at least zonal flow, pick up, allowing for that warmer stretch or allowing for clearer skies as well. But today through Thursday, I wouldn't let my guard down too much. The only day that I would expect to be able to spend some time outside without the hood or umbrella, and a substantial amount of time at that, would be Tuesday, but we're keeping the possibility of Thursday open right now. For the mountains, it is likely that by the end of this week, we will have measured at least a dusting of snow, but there's always a chance that temperatures stay a little bit warmer and we don't get much for our local mountains in San Diego. I'd say Mammoth, Big Bear, Snow Valley, it is more than likely that they'll get several inches of snow. There are some forecast models that add on an additional foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, depending on how far above, say, 7,500 feet or so you go. Deserts are going to stay light, but they'll probably see the most intense wind speeds and wind gusts, at least moving from the mountains to the deserts. Temperatures are at their coolest on Wednesday afternoon, down to the 30s for our mountains, 50s for the deserts, and then look at that nice warm up. We gain another 20 degrees by the end of the week and the weekend. So if you're putting together Friday through Sunday plans, they shouldn't be too impacted by any rain. But again, as we get through the middle of the week, we'll be able to look farther beyond that and see how the end of it is going to be shaping up. In the meantime, today, that most intense stretch toward the afternoon and evening, I'd say in this whole week, the most intense window is probably going to be between about noon and 5 p.m. today on Monday. Coming up over on our website, cbsa.com, you can head there, get the hour-by-hour forecast, check in on our radar and see what's actively falling, what's moving in your direction. You can also, of course, always download our CBS 8 streaming channel. It's available on Roku TV, Fire TV, Apple TV. You can also get it to your mobile phone and get those weather alerts on the go, those weather notifications whenever you need. In the meantime, thanks again for being with us. My name is Evan Nurani. Have a fantastic and wet Monday out there.